Praise God, happy family. My name is David Tikva. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Here we get to interact, learn, and most importantly, discover the purpose that God created us to fulfill here on the universe. So today, allow me to talk about mental health. Yeah, this is something that I want to expound. It's unscripted because I just want to give a real life experience of what I've gone through, and I thank God He has always been faithful. This is not something that you'll encounter one season. It's something that frequently come triggered by things that arise in our lives, and now building the mental muscles to overcome some challenges, it depends by the endurance or the level of the trials and temptations that you've gone through in your life. And that is exactly what I want us to talk about. And I just want to give some points or hints, and I'll try to expound so that at least you can try to evaluate yourself whether you are going through or you've ever encountered such kind of thing. I just want us to have a relatable conversation. Yeah, and allow me just to mix up Swahili and English so that I can make it clear and have a wide range of people to understand this. Yeah, so first thing, or kitu cha kwanza I want to talk about is how do you realize that you are going through depression? Because I think the first thing to overcome something, it's realizing that you're in it. Because so many instances when you get yourself, you're in these situations, we always tend to have the denial part of us because we don't want to have the real conversations with ourselves and just agree that kitu imetuhit in our life, it's exactly there and it's ruining us, it's draining us, because even when you get to read the Bible, Elisha, he asked, the axe, shoka limeanguka wapi, exactly, because if you lack to understand the source exactly of something, you cannot be able to understand. And we also say this, that a demon that you've not discover it in your life, those things or habits or chains that have been holding you back, if you don't realize them, they'll leave to drains you. So first thing first, it's realizing the source of this thing. Ukirealize hii kitu ni nini imetrigger, ni nini imefanya ikarise, ni nini imefanya like I'm sinking into much thoughts and I'm all alone, I'm reserved and everything. You see, when you see these kinds of behaviors zenye unafanya, they were not part of you, zinafanyanga you feel like, okay, my life or my graph of life, it has some hiccups and I need to work on it. So first thing, ni job umelose, unafaa uelewe like that job, it's not maybe the last or the first thing umekuwa na that kind of a scenario. So what you're supposed to do, you need to work on your expectations, finances, they reduce. And most of instances tunataka ku remain on that level so that we can please the society and we can also still maintain the lifestyle, but I feel like ukijipata in this kind of a hiccup, the first thing that you're supposed to do, because you don't want to have those kinds of questions and everything, just reserve yourself slightly and do the right thing. Minimize your spending and lifestyle and everything. Itakusaidia to work with what you have in that season so that you can be able to persevere, because a depression is kind of being thrown in a wilderness, and when you're in the wilderness, remember, there's no food, there's no water, and definitely you're all alone there's no people around, so you're all alone. And most of the time I usually say this, that msi ako kwa depression or in this desert, hata ukimpea the kind of money and everything, haezi. And at times unapatanga wase wakichangishiwa do and you're like, God, I wish they can understand. Unaget? Because I think umse sido anahitaji, the first thing anahitaji ni to heal from the trauma, what ana ail, then akuwe sober enough ndo aweze kuja kurelate back to with the society, with the money and everything. So you are supposed to reserve yourself so that at least you can angle things out, work things out, at least ujue mahali uko, unaona. So tumesema ukiwa kwa desert, you kind all alone. So and I say this, una reserve yourself to avoid a lot of so many questions that will trigger. I don't know whether umewahi kuwa in a scenario, let's take maybe a married couple, they've divorced, and then unakutana na msee anakuuliza like, how is your husband, how is your wife? Definitely those kinds of questions they will kind trigger. Ama mother fulani like amepoteza mtoi, you know, and then you're like, mtoi ako aje? Those kinds of things definitely zita trigger. That's why I say it's good sometimes reserve kidogo, not you brainstorm or you absorb a lot of so many things, but itakufanya avoid a lot of confrontations of those kinds of questions before you are strong enough to face the reality. Unaona? And I'm sorry, maybe this may differ maybe from the so-called counselors, but I also feel like wako hiyo feel to make money, you know, in one way or the other. New sema hivi, when you're in that desert or all this kind of trauma, stress, depressions, it's only God anaweza kufanya you get out of it, and God can use the right people to help you out. At times you don't need even the counselor. You may get someone from hata hana any kind of that knowledge or anything, and atakwambia like, maybe try this and this and it will work. You know, hakuna msi akona blueprint of how you're supposed to walk out from this, you know. And kitu ni usema hivi, hata huo mse mwenye anaweza kuwa na advice, hata anaweza kuwa in a situation yenye like hata imenilemea. So hakuna mse pro, let's all agree on that, you know. It's only God anaweza kudeliver from that situations, akusaidie, you build up and come back again to soberness. Unaona? So the other thing, yeah, I just hope maybe you are taking slight notes, and if you happen to disagree with me, I would appreciate if you can just maybe comment there and tell me, hey, here David Tikva, at least umesema kitu na feel like it's not right or anything. At least we are just here to enlighten each other. I told you this is my journey, and this is maybe how God helped me to walk out through it, and I hope maybe someone else can take some notes. Don't do exactly and follow mine. People have different strength, people have different resilience, energy, so it might be mine and I was able to overcome it. So the other part we're gonna check ni after realizing the source of everything, kitu ingine nitakwambia, when you're in a battlefield, you know, and you're fighting and umeumizwa, you're bleeding, as a soldier you're supposed to reserve back, you know. Enda mahali kwanza utulie, because I usually feels like the more you keep on, you know, you're in that battlefield and you're trying to prove, you know, you are trying to prove that maybe you're strong and everything, you're already injured. You don't know how many enemies they're already in the field and how many they will come against for you and crush you. So it's very healthy, ukijua uko wounded, ondokea your ground for the meantime, tulia kwanza, so that you can be stable, you know. Yeah, because when you are wounded, and let me tell you something, sometimes during that weak point, that is where the devil takes the opportunity. And let me tell you something, when you're desperate, you know, when you're in that state, uko broken kabisa, most of instances you don't pray to God like you're miracle seeker, because una try to find anything in it to bring solution. Let's all agree there. Most instances unapatanga msee hadi akikwambia like, let's go this place or do or gets to meet this person, atakupea answer to your solution, utaenda. So in that instances, we are all miracle seekers, we are not God seeker, you know. And that is where the devil anaingililianga. If you are not very keen and you don't have the spirit of discernment, unapatanga umeingia into cult, umepata umeingia kwa hizi devil so called, umeanza kuingia in those kinds of things, na unapata life yako ime mess kabisa. So it's very very healthy, you know. Don't sikimbilie huko like to consult the answer. For the Jacob house, they were told there were no divination in the house of Jacob. Wachana na hizo vitu. You are going to complicate your life. It's kind. I had a conversation with someone walikuwa tunasema hivi, when umeenda ku consult an answer to divination, and you can remember the story of Saul, you know, alienda ku consult and aliambiwa you are going to die, like literally. So unapatanga like your fate ni kama unaenda, because you are not even going to seek God, you are going to seek other gods. So wachana na hiyo. Kama uko bleed, toka kwa ground, tulia kidogo. The other thing, and I'll tell you this, it's let's take a punching bag. You know the punching bag inakwanga imetengenezwa in a way when you hit it, it's try to absorb your energy so that you can just feel like ume release some energy on it, you know. So I have something positive yenye utafanya, and you can do maybe some exercise, work on your body, like have some kilometers that you're running either jioni ama asubuhi. Try to create time to release that bad energy. Unaona, kama ni vitabu soma. You can get an online course. There are so many free online courses unaweza fanya, you know, get advance. Unaweza angalia which maybe books, get some ebooks. There are so many ebooks around online which are free. You know, you can just download them. Chukua zisome. You can get to read your Bible. You know, use that time to add value on yourself, because at that time niwaambia mse, if you are two kind of people, mmoja ako hii side na mmoja ako hii, wewe ukae stagnant usimame hivi, mwingine awak na craft yake, maybe in the career, add value on it, asome zaidi ama nini. By the time you know mnafika kwa finishing line, huyu mmoja atakuwa amewin, wewe uta walk out ukiwa empty, wounded, with nothing. So use that time to win. And let me tell you something, I just want to add something on that. There is nothing beautiful like healing with a success, because it helps you forget everything, because utakuwa remember that season, but you'll be like, oh, hata kama niligo through these situations, at least I own this, I got this, nilipata hii certificate, you know. So make sure, you know, when you're going through this, try to have something yenye itakuwa ina take off your energy, you know. You channel, let me use the word channel your pain. And let's even look about Hannah and Penina, because it's a very clear, you know, Bible verse that will give illustration of what we are talking about. Look, ameenda ametusiwa, it's true, she don't get a child, so weka huko. But you can imagine if she, you know, aliabsorbiwa kaka hapo akalia hapo without acting, she would have died bitter, you know. When you become bitter, you become barren. At least utakuwa na progressive, you will not produce. But for her, she turned this pain to go to the altar, Shiloh. She prays there, call upon the name of the Lord, you know, and tells God, I just want to pour this pain, all everything that I've, because carry on your burden and bring it on to Jesus, you know. That is exactly what she did. And that is exactly what I'm telling you today. You're in that desperation state, you are breaking down and you don't know which direction to follow and you don't know what to do. Follow this channel, this script. Carry all your pain onto the Lord. Cry, have a positive, stop cursing, start blessing, you know. Tell God, despite these situations, and use this affirmation word, you know. You can just have 1,000,000 affirmation words. You can get them online. You can write to yours alone and tell God, and you can also create, you know, there are covenant vows that you can create with God and tell God, if you deliver me, and just be faithful, because in so many instances when we are too much in that state, tunaambianga God like, ukinitoa kwa hii story, God like, I'll turn around. Please make sure you honor those. Don't foolishly, use the word, create some covenant vows which you don't know, you know, you're not going to fulfill. Because look, Jephthah anaambia God, if I win this battle, yenye itani alika as I enter my home, that is what I will offer to you. And the daughter comes, you can imagine that pain. So simply try to tell God, deliver me in these situations. And I say this, turn your pain, turn your bitterness, channel it for a win. Because if you channel, kama angeka hapo atusi Penina, like I try to prove herself, angepata mtoto. And let me tell you something, you know, when you channel positively, you're blessed, that pain and depression, what you're going through, and brokenheartedness, and you're bleeding, when you channel rightly, you know, let me tell you this, you're going to get a blessings which will be remarkable. You will be like, you'll be looking and you'll be like, oh God, look, Samuel, a prophet who serves and reigns in you know, the entire, na hana any kind of hiccups, you know, or challenge. That's how beauty. full it is. And that's how this blessing was like. We don't see any child from Penina lineage, we only see Samuel. So make sure you channel this pain, make sure you channel whatever that you're going through to the right direction. Are you together? I hope you may take some notes there and it may help you build up. Yeah, so I don't know, let me try. Tumesema, yeah, you channel perfectly well so that at least you can be able to win. So the other part ni after ume work on your craft and ume build na nini, kitu moja nitakwambia ni forgive. Yeah, forgive. I don't know whether umewahi kuwa in a state or situation yenye mse amekutenda, you know, and you've been holding that pain and bitterness. Umewin na umefanya everything na umeachieve and you feel like heal, but every time something comes around and ina click hapo, unarudi hapo kwa hiyo state, you know. And I just feel it's because we don't let it go. Yeah, I know there are those kinds of scars you'll be like, it'll happen, just situations fulani nili go through, but hakuna kitu inakuanga so good, because even the Bible says this, forgive so that you can also be forgiven. You are not okay, you are not right. Pia wewe, there are people that hurt, there are people wenye umewatenda, maybe the magnitude can differ, but remember kwa God hakuna kama makosa na makosa kubwa. So we are all sinners. If you understand that we are all sinners, itakusaidia to forgive, to let go. Maybe it may take some time or whatever, but just pray to God aku help so that you can heal, recover on it. Unaona? And as I wind up, sometimes speaking, it's healing, you know. Yeah, have someone around you can simply share the journey of overcoming. You can probably share with someone who is going through the same scenario. Just try to work with someone who is so sober and positive, because I know you can interact with people who, rather than helping you, worsen the situations, and you'll be like, they also betrayed me. But don't depend on people, you know. And let me tell you something, when you're in a state of desert or depression kwa life, in most instances, hata nikikuja nikupatie 1 million, like I have attached myself on that thing. I don't know kama umwaisikia ama umwajipata in a state umecome through kwa mse ako in that state. Do you know anafikanga place hadi hawezi kulipa hizo do, things just worsen and progress, ama mse it might be wewe ndo ulimsaidia, anafikanga place hata hawezi kulipa, unaget. So it's kind of a scenario, inakuanga a desert spell yenye it's a learning, it's breaking moment. God ana work through something in you and anataka you stop thinking. And let me tell you something, because kuna kitu nilikam kudiscover. If ukikaa hapo ulie like the whole day and night, you know, like you are not adding anything to God, like there's nothing much you're triggering, like you are worsening your situation, you know. And I think, look, even the Paul and Sila in the cell, like these people walishikwa just for serving God. They were not doing the wrong thing, but rather than telling God like, okay, netoa kenyito, like tumeshikwa God, now what are you going to do? We've done the right thing on your side, why are you letting us, you know? They worship in that situation. There are so many, let me tell you something, so many books which they have been read by a million peoples. Those touching songs that you listen around, they have a deep secret story. Maybe someone who was going through a certain situations in their lives, they were broken, they were bleeding, and in that bleeding, let me tell you, there's nothing good like the deep revelation that comes through that situations that you are going through. Ask those people who have written very moving songs and books or poems or anything. There's that situations they went through in their life that turns around You know, there's those kind of mapito walipitia and they were like, this situation, God, I want to put it down in writing. This yenye nime go through, God, I know it's you who have come through for me, you know. And they just write them down, they just sing them, and they are just season songs, season books, and we read them and you're like, wow, umse kama li go through his scenario ilikuwa hard. Wanna get so through that situations, also be very keen and very alert to listen to the voice of God, because inakwanga like there's something. Don't let me tell you something, like ukianguka hiyo mtihani, let you fail to discern what God is teaching you through that season. That exam you fail, funny thing, it's going to recur itself. It'll come through again because you failed, and it's something that you have to conquer so that you can build mental muscles to go to the next level. Unaona? Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna reach to that juncture. I will get to interact with you on maybe conversations with on the comment sections. If by any chance you have any questions, I will feel free to respond back. And I'm just trying to build this community. Please feel free to comment if you find these conversations to be helpful to you, and I'll be bringing more and more real life talks and conversation and stories which will inspire you, shape you to be a better person in God's kingdom as we grow, as we build each other for the glory of God. God bless you so much, and I really appreciate for your time. God bless you.